develop that third property where you would like to have housing, or where it's zone residential, you would have to, by law, put a sidewalk there, by code. But then the sidewalk would essentially just dead end before you get, well, before you got to East Palms. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't continue all the way up to East Palms. You understand what I mean?
It has, my understanding is it has to be continuous from the, based on the recommendation, based on the, based on the recommendation, I have to do from East Palms all the way to the next property, to the new development, the third.
I think we've discussed this in work session also, and I think a lot of concerns should have been answered in the work sessions. You all right? So, you got any more questions? Good questions?
I just to clarify, the conditions that were placed on the zoning, the rezoning approval before, they're asking effectively a variance from that. Were the conditions that, so the point about tree protection really is not really relevant to the request of a variance. It's actually a financial hardship is the basis for the request. From my understanding, I have to admit that I have not looked at the trees.
He's asking for us to remove that amendment from the division.
Okay, but well, I guess I'm using the term variance generally here. But if I'm to understand it in terms of the tree protection component of this discussion, that if the trees are in fact in poor condition, then they would not they would not deserve the specimen tree protection, and then the only issue we're talking about is whether or not they're meeting the density requirements for this type of development. And I think that that's probably a non-issue in this case. So the tree protection issue, I think, is probably not relevant given their existing condition.
His request is for the council to vote to amend the conditions and remove for the sidewalk and to replace it with that walkway from East Palms into the facility, right? That's what his request is, and that's what I need a motion on, either to approve it or deny it. Go ahead, Diane.
So basically, he's asking us, in a sense, to extend the time that he has to put that sidewalk in, because he's saying he's going to do track 3, and he would do the whole piece at that point. So that could be an option.
Yes, you could vote for it right now to go ahead and put it in the walkway, but with a condition within a certain amount of time to put that sidewalk in. Yes, Jean.
I just don't think that replacing a public sidewalk with a sidewalk on private property is a good exchange. And just looking at your numbers, I was a little confused about the total cost difference. It looks like it's about $1,300, not $5,300. So I just the totals are incorrect. Okay.
That's just to if the sidewalk has to be replaced or repaired, it's going to be continuous.
Mr. Gaines, that sidewalk would be on the right of way, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so it's not on private property.
No, it is on. Excuse me.
The new project.
Could you clarify the question, please?
Yeah, the sidewalk that they made the conditions with on the original project, is that sidewalk on the right of way?
The original sidewalk.
Yes.
Yes.
What you're requesting now is on private property.
Yeah, but he said he wants that to go away. He wants the public right of way to go away. The
Right, so
sidewalk.
he wants it to go from a public sidewalk to a private walkway.
Yeah, walk off, exactly. It's not a sidewalk, it's a walk off. Do you have any more, Ben, do you have anything else that you wanted to say to the council before they vote on?
No, I don't, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gaines.
I'm sorry. Did we hear from P&Z on
Yeah,
this?
you got it right in front of you.
Well, I see that they said they recommend against it, but I didn't see their actual.
Well,
The argument,
Mr. Gaines expressed what they.
Mr. Gaines is not speaking for P&Z.
Yeah, he was there.
Well, we have been here.
It's in here?
But Chairman, I just
Oh,
wanted to know if we
I'm
could
sorry,
get.
I didn't even see you.
Because we didn't hear anybody at the
I
work.
apologize. But I
I'm
don't think,
in the back.
I don't think any comments from P and Z, they've already sent us their recommendation.
Well, I just didn't understand why they recommended denial. I'd like to know why they recommended denial before I make my mind up.
I think we've let these things happen before, like on Market Street where we said we're not going to require the sidewalks, and I don't want to continue to not require sidewalks or ask for.
All right.
Am I, yeah, and you know, why I'm making an issue out of this because I think we need to be really certain of what we're doing when we overrule P and Z's recommendation. I think we need to have a very strong component reason to do that.
So you want to hear from Ben, it's your privilege.
No, it's up to the mayor.
I think you see the recommendation from the planning and zoning.
I need a motion to either approve or deny.
I make a recommendation, we deny.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. A second? I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of denial? All opposed? Motion, you abstain? Motion carries. All right. Agenda item F9, Mr. Gaines, public hearing for the variance of section 710, comma 1008, 1009, and 1107 of Appendix A zoning of the city of Clarkston code ordinances for the property at 1125 North Indian Creek. It's yours.
Thank you, sir. 1125 North Indian Creek currently houses the, can't remember the name of the business off the top of my head, but it's an auto repair shop. Signature Auto Repair? Yes, thank you. And it is a dual frontage lot, has access on both North Indian Creek Drive and Vaughn Street. The applicant is requesting 4 variances for the purpose of developing and constructing a Family Dollar retail store at the aforementioned site. They have requested 4 variances as follows. The first is to eliminate the requirement for a pedestrian-oriented building entrance on both sides of a dual frontage lot. The second is a variance from the height range for storefront windows, storefront being on the designated storefront street side, which is North Indian Creek Drive. The third is to eliminate the requirement for a loading zone to not face a public street. And the fourth is to reduce the minimum required parking spaces from 33 to 27. Planning and Zoning Committee heard this request at their meeting last month, and they made the following recommendations. They recommended approval for the first variance request, approval of the second variance request. They recommended to strike the third variance request as they didn't see it was necessary based on the information presented by the applicant at the meeting, at the hearing. And for the fourth variance, they recommended approval with the condition that stormwater detention facilities be constructed underground. The applicant is here and is available to take questions.
Okay, I'd like to hear from the applicant.
Thank you, council. My name is Bo Abel with Gerard Construction. Basically, Jason presented my information very well, and I can just answer any questions.
Okay. All right, I would like to open the floor to the public. This is a public hearing, and all in favor of this application, please come to the mic. Seeing none, all in denial of this application, please come to the mic.
Y'all know where it is. You've been there.
You've been there.
I thought that was this. How did we let Pond and Company, after we paid them $60,000 to rewrite the ordinance, allow for a monstrosity like this. I mean, I talked to Talitha about it the other day. She said to have something again like this in this city, like we have similar store up there, and just the look of it and the demeanor of it, that's an embarrassment for the city. I'm wondering if total denial could be recommended without the city getting sued by this guy. You know, it's just not a good public appearance for the city. I mean, at least with Tom's beer cans hanging around the shed, nobody can see that publicly. So let's think big and about the possibility of denying this appointment to the city without the city getting sued.
Thank you. Anyone else in denial of this application? Seeing none, I'll open the floor up to the council.
I think despite the recommendations of P&Z, I am concerned that we've got quite a number of variance items requested for variance here. This is, I think, with so many issues that don't necessarily comply with our ordinance. I think it may say something about whether or not this would really comply with the spirit of our ordinance right now. So, and whether it's appropriate for where it would be placed in the zoning in that area.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of requests for variances that that really doesn't fit our town center ideal. Changing windows so that the refrigeration units don't show. Doesn't seem like you guys are making a concession to change your floor plan on this one to meet our requirements. The loading zone is not a loading dock, I understand, but it still becomes a catch-all area, generally speaking, when that tenant or when the establishment is up and running. Instead of having stuff, pile of pallets or whatever sitting inside, they'll set them outside for pickup or whatever, cardboard, things like that. So on the backside where Vaughn Street is, we're trying to encourage the town to be a walking pleasure, so to speak. And I'd like to encourage you to get into a partnership with somebody else to develop the Vaughn Street side of your project, or put something else in there that is pedestrian friendly, and somehow you could share a loading area that would be possibly to the backside of the building, or some other method of getting stock into the different shops that you might eventually have there if you do get into a partnership with somebody.
To clarify, could you kind of further discuss, or is it a question if a partnership is available, or?
Well, I have no idea what, I mean, in my concept of development, if one owner of a property wants to put something on that property and that one plan doesn't financially fit your or our idea of what needs to go there, you can only put one building there, and your building doesn't meet our criteria of being a pedestrian-friendly frontage on Vaughn Street, on both streets, so that it creates more of an atmosphere of pedestrian-friendly shops or establishments, whatever. I know that one of the variances here was to eliminate the pedestrian access to one side of it, and I'm not real clear on why that was requested. I mean, a store with two entrances is not too unusual. But I was just thinking that if you're going to have a building and you don't want to have an entrance on both sides of the building, perhaps you would entertain the idea of having a second partnership with somebody to have another business on the other end of it that would meet our requirements or our ambiance of town center development that would create a walking environment for the whole downtown area.
I think you may have two questions. The first, if I'm hearing you correctly, the reason for one store entrance is mainly security purposes. You know, Ingress is a national retail company. So the ingress and egress from the building, if there were two public accesses, it would just, it's very uncommon. The retailer that we're working with would deny the project. So they just go, it's just something they don't do. In order to